Hello students, good day and welcome to yet another lesson for oral communication. Today we will talk about speech acts, and in this lesson we have the following objective. So by the end of this learning unit, we will be able to define speech acts, differentiate the various speech acts, and finally identify speech acts as they are applied in real life scenarios. So what are we going to talk about? Well, first we begin with the definition of speech acts, and then in the succeeding slides we will talk about the specific speech acts one by one. And also we will be providing examples. So let's go to the first objective. What are speech acts? Well, speech acts are utterances or statements which are given by the speaker in order to achieve a particular purpose. So to achieve that purpose, a speaker must consider the following. There are three things to consider. First is the locution. Second is the illocution. And third is perlocution. Okay, so under locution, locution or locutionary acts refer to the actual utterance of a word. Okay, this is the actual word that you are going to say. So Nordquist states that locution is just the act of making a statement. And that statement will mean something, but there is no clear intent. So basically, it's just a word, but whether this word has a purpose or not is unclear as of the moment. We just know what the word means, but there is no context. So, where does the context enter? Or how do we know what the purpose is? Well, the purpose comes in during the illocution phase or in the illocutionary act. So this is given as a result of the speaker's intention. So you're basically you say something that's locution, but why you said that word is illocution. So while locutionary acts are simply utterances, illocutionary acts are the ones bearing the intent or the purpose. So again, Nordquist says that illocution is considered as the speaker's intent. Okay, so it is a very specific intent. You are not going to say a word for multiple types of reasons. Instead, you utter a word because there is a purpose why you did that. So there are a few types of illocutionary acts. In fact, there are 5. First one is assertive. Okay? When you are employing this intent, when you simply want to be assertive, it means that you are simply going to say words for the purpose of expressing a state of affairs. You're just going to utter a statement to express facts. For example, the test is difficult. It is your perception of the test, and it expresses a state of affairs. That when you took the exam, you found it difficult. That's the purpose. You just want to express your perception about the exam. That is assertive. The second type is directive illocutionary act. When you are employing the directive act, the utterance is expressed for the purpose of making a request or to give an order or command to the receiver. An example, please take out the garbage. Okay? Your intention is to ask somebody else to take out the garbage. And as such, you are employing the directive illocutionary act. The third one is what we call commissive. When we employ the commissive illocutionary act, this is when you say words which express a pledge or a promise. For example, I swear I am innocent. So you are swearing, you are promising, and you are attesting to your innocence. Or, I swear I saw you pass by a while ago. That is commissive. Whenever you make a promise, okay, I'll be there at 9, I promise to be there at 9 o'clock. That is commissive. Fourth one is expressive. This one is when you express the mental state or the sentiments of the speaker. For example, you want to express emotions or the mental state. One example is, congratulations on your promotion. This is you expressing your delight, your joy and happiness over the promotion of this other person. When you say, I feel bad about what you did, that is also expressive because you are expressing emotions. Now, the last one is what we call declaration. Now, you have to understand that declaration and assertive might be quite similar, but there's a slight difference. In assertive, you're expressing your thoughts, or you are using words to express the current state of affairs. Example, the test is difficult. That means at that moment that exam or that test is considered as difficult. But in declaration, you also utter words to express a state of affairs, but once you have said the words, there is now a change in the status. It transforms from one form to another. Allow me to give you an example. When the priest or the judge says, I now pronounce you husband and wife, that is a form of declaration because the status of the husband or of the man and the woman changes from being a bride and a groom to being the husband and the wife. When the judge bangs the gavel and says, you have been found guilty of the crime, the status of the defendant, of the suspect, changes from being a suspect to being a criminal. Okay, so innocent transforms into a guilty status. So that is the difference between assertive and declaration or declarative for some other forms. In assertive, no change happens. The test is difficult. It will remain to be difficult. But in declaration, the status changes. Okay? So, a little bit of tidbit. Okay? In most cases, declarations or declarative illocutionary acts are uttered by people in authority. A priest, a judge, a police officer, a teacher, something like that. A doctor. Okay? You are now cancer-free. That is a change in status from being a cancer patient to a cancer survivor. So, those are just examples of declaration. So, please do not mix them up. In assertive, no change in status. In declaration, the status changes. Okay, so we're done with locution, the utterance, and illocution, which is the intent. Now we focus on the third aspect of the speech acts, which is perlocution. Now, what are perlocutions or perlocutionary acts? These are different from locution and illocution in such a way that these do not include utterances. Okay, this is not focused on what is said. Instead, in perlocution, we focus on the effect that the word has on the audience. Or we look at the change in behavior or the result based on the audience's reaction. So when we say something that is locution, why we said it is illocution, its impact on the audience is perlocution. Okay, so while locution and illocution may be fixed, okay, there is a specific set of words and there is a specific intent for saying those words. Perlocution can be different. Why? Because it can be flexible. People can react in so many different ways to the same statement. Um, for example, if you were to see a celebrity or to bump a celebrity probably in the mall, when you feel excited and you tell your friends, like, "Uy, I saw blank, a celebrity." Your friends might have a different set of reactions. Some might empathize with you and say, "Oh my God, that's exciting. I feel kilig," and all that. Some other friends might say, "What's new?" Okay, so as you can see, that alone is an example of how flexible perlocution can be. Not all people will react the same way. So that's why it's quite different from locution and illocution. So let's look into an example of a perlocutionary act. So Gelber explained in her book, which is entitled Speaking Back, the Free Speech versus Hate Speech Debate. This is when he or she focused in her book about the effects of when someone shouts fire in a crowded venue. Okay, or bomb. Okay? Actually, when you say bomb in crowded places, that is already a criminal act. That's why we don't utter that word in crowded places. When a person suddenly shouts fire in a crowded venue, this may cause the entire crowd to panic and go to the nearest fire exits. The act of leaving the venue or the place and heading for the exits is what we call perlocution. It is their reaction to what was said. So, in order to avoid unwanted perlocutionary act, for example, hysteria, panic, when people start to head for the exits in a non-organized way, okay, a stampede follows. People have now, they have tried to do away with certain words such as fire and bomb in crowded places. Okay, so uttering those words could get you banned from that establishment, or for some cases, people are banned from flying using a particular carrier because of uttering these words. So these are not to be played with. These are not words that you should utter, and we are doing this to avoid panic and hysteria and injury to people. So let's look at how we can integrate the different speech acts for you to have an idea as to how they actually work in real life. Let's use the same scenario of shouting fire in a crowded place. The actual word, which is fire, is the locutionary act. That is the utterance. Now, why did the person yell fire or shout fire? This is to warn the crowd about a current occurrence, okay, which is, he or she saw that something was burning. So that is a form of assertion or assertive illocutionary act, to express a state of affairs. Something is burning, I will shout fire. So the illocutionary act is assertive. That is the illocutionary portion. Now, the perlocutionary portion would be the reaction of the crowd. If they head for the exit, then that means they have absorbed the urgency of the matter. They know that they should be heading out the door or the fire exit. For some other people who might not be heading towards the exit, that is also indicative of a perlocutionary act. They are reacting that way probably because they did not hear you yell fire. So, in the reaction or the non-reaction of the audience or your intended receivers, those two scenarios or those two possibilities still tell you something. For those going out the fire exit, that means they heard you and they acknowledged what you said. They went out the door. For those who did not go out the door, probably, what it means is that they did not hear you yell fire. Or they simply just do not care if something was burning. So those are, or that is a specific scenario showing you the interplay of the locutionary act, the illocutionary act, and the perlocutionary act. So I hope that I was able to paint out a vivid picture of the connection between these acts. And should you ever need additional references, you can access the following sources. I have placed them in the PowerPoint presentation. So all you need to do is click the link and it will immediately take you to the references which I used. So that being said, I believe that wraps up our discussion this afternoon. I hope that this has been meaningful to you and that you have learned a lot from this discussion. We will be digging further into other aspects of communication in the succeeding lessons. So, this has been Sir Dardar. I wish everyone a wonderful and productive day ahead. I'll see you in the next video. Toodles.